What are you supposed to do when life hits the fan and you can't keep up with your existing health routine? We're going to talk about this today and how doing the bare minimum can actually save your health goals. Hey there, I'm Erica Jones with Elevate.com, where we're helping high performers weave wellness and longevity into their daily rhythm. So 1 minute you're killing it when it comes to your health goals. Everything's running better than a Chick-fil-A drive-through. And then the next you're feeling hyper stressed. You're buried with work. You've got tasks and to-dos coming out of all places. And you find yourself skipping workouts and ordering DoorDash for the fourth night in a row. Well, this is one of the primary reasons why people fall off and find it difficult to stay the course with their health. Life happens. They can't keep up with their regular routine and their habits, and they crash and burn. But surely there has to be a middle ground, right? Some space between full engagement and doing absolutely nothing, right? Yeah, there is. You actually don't have to choose between pushing yourself past capacity and forfeiting on your health goals. We'll talk about this so the next time you have a high stress day or week, as all high performers do, you have a backup plan. So the first thing is you need to have a foundational routine that actually works with your schedule. A morning start of 5 a.m. with a 1 hour journaling session, followed by meditation, a workout, and a cold plunge every day of the week would be exhausting, even for Olympic level athletes. So if your current routine is overly ambitious, lower the bar. You're already starting with a disadvantage. Don't worry about an Instagram worthy wellness routine. Your everyday rhythm should be working for you at least 90% of the time. And if it's not, and you're finding that you can't keep up, you're only going to feel more frustrated during a high stress week. So the first thing to do is adjust your current plan to one that's more realistic. The second thing to do is to know when to do the bare minimum. I'm reading this book right now called Time Anxiety by Chris G. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Just look it up online. You will find it. But the whole premise of the book is to examine our relationship with time, how we perceive it, how these perceptions influence our daily life. And in one section, the author recommends doing things poorly as a way to reclaim time and avoid stress. Now, given that I'm a high achiever by nature, and you might be too, this did not sit well with me. I intentionally do things with excellence, and the thought of doing otherwise feels slimy and offensive. But as he explained the concept, I could actually relate to it, and I'll explain. I have this routine habit of organizing and decluttering because I can't stand disorganization and messes. Now, you can imagine with 4 young children how challenging that is. So one weekend, I had gathered up a substantial pile of items to get rid of. And as I started sorting through it, these anxious feelings began to rise up because I felt the internal pressure of not being wasteful and upcycling every item. Who could I donate this 5-year-old vacuum cleaner to became this annoying circulating question in my head. Inside, I just wanted the items gone to clear the mental clutter that was taking up precious real estate in my brain. The thought of working through this list of items to upcycle each and every one was not only stressful, it was mentally draining. I would have just donated it all, but there were items in my pile that were not accepted at the donation center, yada, 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 which left me to figure out what to do with the leftovers. In the end, I did throw everything away. Don't judge me. And instantly I felt the tension melt away. This is what I mean when I say do the bare minimum. So will I throw away donatable items every time? Absolutely not. But if it's a high stress time and I need to create internal peace, I will do whatever is necessary to prioritize my mental health over going above and beyond with excellence. So now that you understand this concept, let's take it and apply it to your wellness routine. So you might be wondering why I would ever advocate for doing the bare minimum when it comes to your health. Well, here's why. Let's say things go chaotic in a given week. Let's say you've hired multiple new team members that need training. You're launching a new product. You're on back-to-back calls. Maybe your kids just started a new sports league, or your spouse is out of town and your cat got sick at the same time and needs meds and monitoring. So here's 3 ways that doing the bare minimum is actually going to help you. Number 1, it's going to save you from falling off completely. So when you're forced with the decision to play full out versus falling off the wagon entirely, doing the bare minimum is the middle ground. When engaging in your full routine feels impossible, you don't have to quit. This is where you do less versus doing nothing. High performers are known for this all or nothing mentality, or the belief that if you can't engage at 100%, then you may as well do nothing at all. This could not be further from the truth. And I'll explain why in number 2, which is that doing the bare minimum keeps your chain of consistency. So when you do the bare minimum, instead of doing nothing, you're able to maintain your consistency. And this is a big part in the battle for your mindset, which influences your habits and ultimately your results and ultimately your health. If you can be consistent, even if it's at a lesser level, it's easier to keep going. Being consistent also protects your identity and how you see yourself. When I was overcoming my hatred for exercise, I developed an identity of someone who works out regularly. If I break the consistency in my workout schedule, what will soon follow is a break in my identity, where I no longer see myself as someone who works out regularly because my actions are not in alignment. So staying consistent, even with the bare minimum, is just as much about protecting the identity you've built to support your health habits as it is about the benefits of the habits themselves. I know that's a mouthful, so I'll say it again. Staying consistent, even with the bare minimum, is just as much about protecting the identity that you have built to support your health habits as it is about the benefits of those habits themselves. And finally, doing the bare minimum preserves your momentum. So by slowing down instead of stopping completely, you're able to keep the momentum you've built up. If a car comes to a complete stop, for example, it takes more energy to get it going again versus if it just slows down. It's the same thing when it comes to your health. Anyone can tell you that getting started is often the most difficult part. And this is why you don't want to just stop completely, because it will require a greater level of energy and effort to get back on track. So the bottom line is do the bare minimum when you're faced with the choice of playing full out versus doing absolutely nothing at all. So what does this actually look like in your real life? Well, I'll give you some examples and some guidelines so that you can make sure that this becomes a temporary strategy and not a new way of life. When you're thinking about doing less, just take what you normally do and just lower the effort. So think about doing a 10-minute workout instead of no workout at all, or ordering DoorDash, but choosing healthy options instead of some junky comfort food. Maybe you extend your workday by an hour instead of working late into the night, or maybe you drink a protein smoothie instead of skipping your meal altogether. You get the picture. So there's also some areas where I'd really be careful with compromises, especially if it's a high stress time and you're pushing your brain and body more than you typically would. So here are my personal non-negotiables when I'm doing the bare minimum. So number 1 is my wind down routine. Even if it's substantially shortened, a wind down routine before bed is key for priming your body for sleep, which needs to be prioritized, especially if you're going hard. Number 2, which goes hand in hand with number 1, is to sleep. A high stress week can make it difficult to sleep as is, but if you start cutting into your sleep at night, you're going to feel 10 times worse. This can be really tough to course correct later on, and it affects everything from your energy to your hormones to your appetite to your mental health and more. And number 3 is nutrition. So lots of people use food to medicate when pressure is turned up, whether it's overindulgence in sweets or comfort food. Just don't go this route. This is another area that can be really hard to correct later on. So doing the bare minimum can be super effective for retaining your momentum and consistency during a high stress time. But to make sure that this does not become a new way of life, it's best to have a definite end period. So choose a date where you're going to get back into your regular routine. I personally don't recommend doing this for more than a few days, or it can be very difficult to get back on track. Now, what should you do when you fall off completely? It happens. Sometimes life takes a turn and everything you once prioritized goes out the window. Maybe it's a devastating breakup or you lost a loved one. You're allowed to be a human being and take time to process and regroup. And if this happens, spend zero time feeling guilt and shame or beating yourself up. This does not serve you and it wastes precious energy that you could be using to jump back in. Feel free to give yourself that space to go slow. I even recommend starting with the bare minimum, and over time you just build your way up from there. Now, if you've fallen off and you need a place to start, I recommend you download my 5-minute daily detox for busy, burned out entrepreneurs. That link is below. And I want to hear from you. Do you have strategies to help you stay on track during high stress times? Can you relate to falling off the wagon when life gets a little crazy? Let me know in the comments below. That's all I got for you today. I hope that you found this helpful. And until next time, take care of yourself and make time for what matters.